What's up, beautiful people? This is Pretty Girl Love Trap content. This is my review for P Valley, okay? Season 2, episode 2. 7 pounds of pressure, y'all. Whew, pressure, blood pressure, heart rate pressure, tire pressure, all the pressure, child, because we got a lot to discuss up in here, okay? So, y'all, this episode was really good. Like, I probably give it a 10. I was thoroughly entertained. Okay, like, yeah, they did the damn thing with this episode. So let's get to it, okay? Because the pint is hiring, okay? And I'm like, dang, I didn't get the memo. I could have. I mean, I'll probably be a bartender though. I wouldn't be a good one because I don't drink that much, so I don't really know the concoctions. But I can learn, like, what can I do at the pint, okay? Because it seems like it's always on and pop it, okay? So how can a sister get down? Okay. I want to be down. Shout out to Brandy. So we got the line of girls. Okay. It's broad daylight out here. Okay. So we over there trying to get hires and we see Big L. He's scoping out all the prospects. Okay. He see one specific one and her name was big boned, okay? And I don't know about big bones, but she had big other things, if you know what I'm saying, okay? So Big L, like when he saw, he was like, give me your name and your number, girl. Like, what is up, okay? So she was like, okay. And so we see somebody else, Roulette, okay, which is Gail Bean. She does a great job as Wanda on Snowfall. So I'm definitely happy to see her on this show, okay? And your girl, she a little, little ratchet. She got tatted up all over her body, okay? She is tatted up. She got a little burgundy mohawk going on, like she a little something, okay? And we also see Whisper, okay? Whisper, she, gives me a little bit of autumn vibes, but she got a little darkness. There's something going on with her, okay? But we're gonna keep our good eye on her, okay? And I forgot the big boned girl. This is Miracle Watts. From my understanding, she was on Love and Hip Hop or one of the Loves and the Hops. One of them shows, okay? I don't watch it as much as I used to. But yeah, she is, on this show. And I believe I'm 99.9% sure. I think I saw her and Tyler, aka Diamond. They actually have a baby on the way, so they together in real life. Okay, so I'm like, ooh, was it an office romance, an on-set romance? Let us know. Okay, give me all the tea. Excuse me, y'all. So y'all, we inside now. Okay, we done made it inside the auditions. We see everybody, white people, black people, men's, women's, big, small, short, tall, like excuse me, y'all. So all of the people trying to get a job, okay? And they doing it all. We see a girl with a basketball. We see a dude in boxing shorts trying to, make it happen. But you know who ultimately gets in? We see Roulette, okay? Gail Bean, big boned it. But Mercedes was like, she ain't about to be on my pole because she can't twerk up on this pole. She could twerk that little butt on land, but on air, she needs to be able to do the damn thing. So Haley was like, okay, let's just put her at the bar, okay? We can use her at the bar. And so we end up hiring Roulette and Whisper, okay? And so y'all, Corbin and Andre show up, okay? Trying to make another proposition for the pint, okay? And Corbin unglowed up. I'm just saying, he looking kind of cute, okay? And that's, goes to that saying, like, you ain't ugly, you just broke, okay? Not to say he was ugly before, but he glowed all the way up, okay? So we cut to Keyshawn at the house, okay? She over there making lemonade like a nice southern gal, okay? Because apparently the sheriff is on the porch with your boy, Derek, okay? And Derek is pissed because the sheriff was like, "No, bro, we cannot bring no charges up to Diamond because we don't know how this thing start. And if I'm charging him, I got to charge you too, okay? Because both y'all is guilty." So of course Derek up in arms. And I'm like, Derek, just let it go. It's been 5 months, bro. 5 months. What gives you the right to want charges on this man? You call this man a gutter Negro, okay? He said the hard ER. The hard ER and the NIGGER, okay? The NIGG were lowercase, but the ER was capitalized, okay? So you got what you deserved, all right? So he proceeds to get up because the baby crying. Okay, so he told Keyshawn to stay here. Okay, and I'm like, why are you telling her to stay here? And when you go tend to the baby, are you trying to pimp her or get her to persuade the sheriff? Like, what you was trying to do? What you was trying to do, boo? So they would start talking about the Pynk and everything that's going on, and he was like, yeah, that new owner, what's her deal? She certainly just glowed up. Keyshawn was like, yeah, 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 yeah. He was like, you having to catch her last name. I was just like, well, he trying to investigate, okay? Because I'm sure, I'm trying to remember exactly the chain of events. Well, he apparently had to tell, is it Montavious where Autumn was because he peeped Autumn going into the paint. But I wonder if he was trying to like call Montavious after the fact, to say, hey, how's everything going on? But your findings. But of course, he answering their phone because he up in the river. Okay, so I guess he's trying to investigate. And plus, somebody dropping money like that in a small town, that's real sus. Okay, so he got his good eye on Autumn, and I already like started to get the blood pressure. I'm like, oh Lord, he gonna be all up in doing the research. Barty Fife, don't do this, bro. Don't do this. Okay, I like Autumn. So they also noted that they were surprised that Diamond got hired by the Stoke based on his army record. And I'm like, his army record? What was he doing? Like, he wasn't honorably discharged. Like, get a sister to tea. Like, what's going on with our boo Diamond? All right. So we back at practice and they having, what I'm saying, a little, Trinity meeting, okay? Because we have the new Trinity. We have Roulette, we have Mercedes, and we got Whispers, okay? And your girl Mercedes like, these chicks think it's easy, okay? So she on the pole doing her thug thizzle. She kind of came hard on that little shoulder. And so Gail, aka Roulette, was like, should I go down to the store to get some alcohol? Oh, she called her big mama. She's like, oh, she trying to imply that I'm a grandmama. I'm like, yeah, Mercedes. I mean, there is an expiration date on script, even though I think you still got it, but I don't know. You may just be doing the shoulder lean, the shoulder lean on a pole, child, because yeah, it's looking real grim out here in these streets. Okay, so we back at seeing Autumn, Clifford, Andre, and Corbin. They over there discussing numbers. Okay, they trying to offer her $500,000 for the paint, and she was like, nah, bro, that ain't enough. Okay, we are talking about value, okay? And we are valued at about 10 of the millies, okay? So if y'all not coming off that, get out my face, bro, okay? So of course Corbin ain't happy. So y'all, we got the grand reopening, okay? And the flyers came in and Clifford like, what the heck? What? Tamara? Like we said next week, and so he was like, Autumn, what's going on here? She was like, bruh, like we need to get these funds in. We do not have time for any delays, okay? And he was like, that's my birthday. He was like, dang, do I got a Google Calendar? I don't know this. Okay, I've only been here like 6 months, bruh. I don't know nothing about nobody's birthdays, okay? And so of course that's like a cardinal rule. Apparently, like we not doing nothing on Clifford's birthday. I'm like, well, that's probably a ample opportunity to have a birthday party at the script club, Clifford. I'm just thinking like I will be having the bash of the century at my club on my birthday. But it's his 40th, and he's a little, going through, I guess a little pre-midlife crisis at this time. All right. So we see Autumn, aka Haley, aka Keisha, and Clifford, they arguing about, him not taking his business at the paint and her being upset. So they're not going through this little power struggle, but they had a little heated conversation, okay? And so y'all, we at the house, okay? Clifford's house, and grandmama, she watching the commercial. And what do I hear? Where the blessings reside, where the blessings reside, where the blessings reside, where the blessings reside. Y'all, they really turned this song where the money resides, this remix, if you will, into a whole holy commercial. Okay, Mama Patrice now capitalized on this money resides situation. I'm like, oh my God, I love these writers. They got my heart right there. Okay, And so she like, come over here. I got the food. I got the prayers. Holla at your girl, okay? So Clifford comes in, interrupting Mama's TV time, and yeah, he aggravated. Okay, he's like, I'm 40 years old. I'm still living with my grandma for God's sakes, and I ain't had no peen in 5 months. Okay, and she was like, "Dang, try 15 years, bro, cause I'm still surviving. I mean, she got the weed. She probably got a little toy action going on, grandma. So she probably surviving. So why he boo booing and sitting up, in that room crying? Okay, shout out to Brandy, knockety knock at the door, y'all. And look who it is, Uncle Murder. Okay, oh, Lord, why I say Uncle Murder? There is an Uncle Murder that's a rapper. So I be the Cliffords and the Murders. It be all just up in my brain, y'all. But yes, Little Murder at the door. And grandma answered, of course, oh boy, he heard her knocking at the door. So he kind of comes and try to signal her like to let him know I ain't here. Okay. So I guess some type of way she kind of felt the signaling. So, little murder came in, was like, Grandma, I just wanted to see Clifford. I'm about to go on this tour, but I didn't want to leave without telling him I'm sorry about how I handled things. And I wish I could have handled them better. Okay. I've been calling, texting. I'm like, you tried emailing, you tried the WhatsApp. You tried the mail. What else did you try? Okay, because you ain't tried hard enough the way you was acting on text messages last week. Okay, like come on, bruh. There's a better romantic way to be handling things. All right, but why grandmama and Clifford, Lord, grandmama and Murder's having this conversation at the door. Clifford is behind the door, but there's a mirror that's kind of propped up in their little entryway where Murder sees Clifford behind the door. So he's like, "Oh, this fool just acting like he ain't here, okay?" But they had he was pretty much talking to Mama because he knows Clifford behind that door. And Clifford just looked like he wanted to smack over that door and just hug his boo, okay? But he's trying to be strong. He's trying to be strong, okay? But, y'all, you can just tell they love each other. It's so romantic, okay? But Grandma was like, okay, I'm going to give him that message, all right? And so she was like, dang, you talking about peen and Amazon to deliver peen to your front door. I was like, yeah, that's something right there, y'all. Whew. So y'all, oh, Lord. You see Andre, he goes to the mayor house and he like looking at all these water hoses. He's like, what's going on? I said, she's ex-mayor. And he goes and follow the trail. And apparently the neighbors are using the water because they are behind. Okay. So Uncle Daddy, sorry, not Uncle Daddy, but God Daddy has been paying the towns or the, what I'm saying, people who's past due paying their water bill. Okay. So Andre goes to the house, start looking at the books. He's like, oh, this nigga's been Robin Hood. Like he paid 10K, but paying 10K in water for the community. For the community. So I'm like, dang, I'm starting to look at him different now. I'm like, oh, he wasn't just, a raggedy thieving politician. He was doing some good out here. So I really like that. Okay. So Andre proceeds to pop in this VHS tape that he wanted to pop in last time, but Corbin or one of his brothers came to the door, so it interrupted him. So this tape shows how they're showing Andre's dad and God Daddy. They call Andre outside on the porch, and he was like, "Hey, what you want to be when you grow up?" And Andre was like, Superman. And so his daddy's recording. He was like, "Nah, you can't be that." And he said something about, "Well, I'm gonna be the president." His dad is low key just knocking all of his dreams down. But God's daddy was like, "No, see, this is the problem. They always want to tell us what we can't do, but you can do anything, little boy. You can do anything you put your mind to." And I'm just like, oh, that's right there. And it always be that one person. Sometimes it is your parent, unfortunately, but you always need that one positive person just rooting for you. And if y'all recall, God Daddy paid off Andre's tuition. I believe he went to Howard. Don't quote me. But yeah, he paid his tuition. So he always was there for him and just was that positive role model. So I'm like, dang, we starting to see Mayor in a good night. I'm like, dang, he got to die for us to see this. Lord. So y'all, we back at Keyshawn, aka Mississippi's house, okay? And Derek, he all at the diaper genie, y'all. And this fool noticed the diapers weren't used. And I'm like, oh, bro, she about to get her behind. Whoop, I can't watch. If they show this, I'm going to be real hot up in these streets, okay? But he was like, you went to the store at 12:44 on last Thursday to get some diapers. But these clean diapers over here just showing that you didn't really need no diapers. So what's going on, bruh? What's going on? You was going to see Diamond? She was like, I didn't know he worked there. Okay, it was a surprise. And so he was like, oh, okay, really? She's like, well, how do you know I was at the store? He was like, I got a GPS little tracker situation on your phone. I'm like, see. So, he was like, it's okay because Diamond, he was tripping when he saw me. He yelled at me. He was like, he yelled at you. Okay. Do, 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 do. I'm calling, file a complaint. Yeah, Diamond. They was like, oh, we had some other complaints too. He was like, all right, cool. Y'all need to go ahead and fire the boy. And she was like, well, he was yelling because I had no mask on. I'm like, well, I would be yelling too about you ain't no mask on. Like, it's COVID up in here, bro. Like, yeah, I'm mad for the company. Like, just really just taking that to heat. Like, no, you need to be yelling at these folk about these masks, okay? So, y'all, she was like, yeah, and he had the nerve to lie and say you called him a gutter nigger, okay? And he was like, you know what? People be making things up. I'm like, she was just testing him because she know he said that. So, we see Keyshawn and them, they having a conversation, and he was like, you know what, Keyshawn, I don't know what we're gonna do. Like we I'm a little frustrated. She's like, well, I want to make our dreams come true. So let me go on tour, Daddy. Let me go on tour. And, let's get this house and jacuzzi and backyard we always dreamed of. So she low key using her manipulative, tactics to be able to, get him to let her, have a little freedom. Okay. So he was like, okay, tell Rome, aka your manager, to let's have a little meeting. All right. So on the next episode of Pit My Ride, y'all, we see Wode, because he worked for the funeral home, okay? He is driving a gold hearse with the most horrific interior, y'all. But Uncle Murder, he was like, dang, we couldn't go ahead and get a tour bus. He was like, fool, the budget, nah, the math ain't math, and we ain't got no funds for that, bro. Like, what's going on? You tripping. So he ended up taking him to the jailhouse. He was like, oh, okay, bro, you trying to, show me where I came from. I was like, oh, little murder, you was locked up, bro. You was locked up. Maybe was that? Wait, never mind. Let me be quiet. So they end up, meeting one of the homies that's in Little Murder's gang. He been in there, for the 99 and the 2000s or whatever. And so he was like, "No fool, you need some security." So Lord, Little Murder, he acted like he was happy to see this dude, but you could tell you could see some reservations on his face. So I'm like, I don't have a good feeling about this. And it kind of, if you watch Power Force, it kind of gave me the feel like with Diamond and Jannard, because I feel like they may come to some type of beef, and it may just completely flip by the end of the season. I'm like, dang, if he's trying to possibly come out or have an affair with Murder, Uncle Clifford, this dude might be a problem. He's gonna be a problem regardless. And he just got out of the pen. It just takes some time for these dudes to get fully acclimated into, what I'm saying, civilization. So, Lord, I don't know what's gonna happen. So we also, call Never Scared. Like, he's like, Never Scared, what's going on, bro? He's like, I'm in Atlanta. I'm like, oh, you blowed up. Okay, so he can't go on tour, but happy for you, Never Scared, okay? Because he, getting his producer on. So Rome meets up with Derek and Keyshawn, and Keyshawn over there, like, so my cut, so the stuff from the accommodations, the costume, all that coming out of my cut. So y'all pretty much funding this tour out of my piece of the pie. Nah, bro. So we did learn that Keyshawn, she's really definitely very savvy. You remember last season, Little Murder didn't really know much about social media. He didn't have a presence, so she kind of put him onto that. So you could tell she's not dumb. Like, she definitely has some smarts to her. So he, old boy, Rome, he goes back into the hearse with Little Murder and them. And he was like, I don't understand. She told me to come and convince Derek, but she had like she didn't want to be on the tour, but it was all a scheme for her to act like, what I'm saying? She was just all planning a whole little plot to make it, just look good for Derek, okay? So she sent him a text like, thank you, I got the rest of the job, okay? So And we also learned that he a cokehead. I'm like, oh, okay, this is gonna be an issue. So y'all, we at the grand reopening. Okay, and it's popping. We got the new blood, we got the old blood. It's looking real good up in here. Okay, Big L, he on the ones and twos, and yeah, we see Clifford, okay. Play Brandy sitting up in my room, okay, because he is feeling the woos and the walls on his birthday, okay. Grandma done made some cupcakes and they don't look good, so that's gonna be a hot mess. So we see, Clifford, he wallowing, going through it. Grandma, she gonna ask him to take the trash out, and he was like, "Dang, girl, I done took the trash out already." She's like, "Well, take the recycling out. It stinks." So I'm like, "Grandma, you on some BS?" So she was in the living room watching TV. We see a mask at the door. I said, "What in the? I know you did what you did last summer. What in the scream is this? I don't do the scary movies. What are y'all doing?" So he goes outside. I'm like, "Lord, what's going on here?" But it ended up being like the funniest kidnapping I ever seen. Okay, and I know Grandma was behind that whole little plot. So back at the club, Toy Mad over there because Big Boned it. She over there twerking it, okay, and she's supposed to be a bartender, but she taking the money from the scrippers, and that seems to be, from my understanding, a big beef sometimes between bartenders and scrippers. Okay, so that's a little spicy. And so we see Big L. He over there trying to multitask because he a DJ now and the chef. I'm like, how is this gonna happen? One of the girls, telling her baby daddy that he ain't really the baby daddy, so we need to call Maury. So yeah, Autumn slash Lakeisha slash Haley is going through the motions, and yeah, it looks a lot harder than what it is. And I hate, when people think they just gonna take a business and it don't really pan out, okay? Because you could be a good in business, but you need to know the exact business that you are running. So she having a hard time, okay? So yes, Autumn girl. Sorry, I got to send this text real quick, y'all. Uh, okay, hold on. I know this is probably so ghetto, y'all, but I got to do this multitasking. All right, so oh Lord, so we over there and we find out that Clifford's homies kind of kidnapped him and had this big extravaganza for him, a little skate party. And he over there was scared. He was like, dang, like he over here spilling his confessions. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry, Lord, for chopping that man body up in the river. And when chopping it up and throwing it in the river, I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure that he was talking about Montavious, okay? And so the whole time at the party, he visioning little murder. And I'm like, oh, she in love. Okay, she in love. So y'all, we see the Trinity they practicing and Whisper. She over there. She a low key spiritual slash voodoo hoodoo chick. Okay, and she's giving real like little eerie vibes, what have you. So at the party, Uncle Clifford done found her a little murder, look alike. I'm gonna call him a little assault. Okay, so little assault. They kind of have a little, sex situation up in the club, well, wherever that little, situation was, because it was a skate party, so it was some skates, whatever back room in it, they was getting it in, okay, getting that birthday sex, birthday sex, whoa, whoa. So y'all, the new Trinity is about to perform, okay, and they are called Earth, Wind, and Fire, all right, and so y'all. Roulette and Whispers are doing the damn thing, okay? They are like the mutant strippers, okay? Mercedes was like the old model. She was like the iPhone 5. These new chicks is like the iPhone 20, okay? Because what Mercedes has been doing, what she's been famous for, these chicks are doing it like no other. Like they are doing the thug thizzle, all right? And I'm like, dang, because Mercedes, she's more technical. You know what I'm saying? She wants to be able to practice. They was like, we ain't doing that. We go with the flow. Like we new school, bruh. Like we, mm. Yeah, grandma. Oh man. Okay, so, yes. Hold on, y'all. I apologize. So Mercedes, she went over there trying to, prove her superiority and was like, nah, y'all ain't about to take this attention from me because this is my home, okay? So she ends up trying to do, one of her stunts, okay? It ends up falling from grace, okay? Real James St. Patrick from Power, okay? Like, it was most beautiful fall, but she wakes up and she's all laid down. We see Uncle Clifford and Haley done took her over there to Diamond, okay? And so Diamond over there doing the voodoo. I'm like, when did Diamond do voodoo or what have you? Like, what is going on here? I did not know he knew about all of this. Maybe this has something to do with his army record that they was referring to, okay? And so they over here, looking at the maxi priest, Lord of mercy. Like, I'm like, what is he doing? So long story short, she goes into some type of convulsion because he's like extracting these spirits and things from her, and he takes something from her shoulder and weighs it, and it's 7 pounds. And she wakes up, and he was like, "Well, I just lifted 7 pounds from your shoulder." And she was like, "That's real specific." And he was like, "Yeah, it takes 7 pounds of pressure to hold a trigger, to pull a trigger on a gun." And so he was like, "Well, this been going on since that night?" And they figured out, okay, this is from the whole situation with her killing Montavious is weighing heavy on her spirit, mind, body, soul, and heart. So yes, she has been dealing with a lot. Okay. So she looks at Haley slash Autumn slash Lakeisha, was like, you know what? This is all your fault. Okay. This is all your fault. Okay. So she ends up kicking her out. She's like, "Oh, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get the heck out of here." Okay. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm in the middle. Like, I see where she coming from. She, is now really realizing like Haley is low key the cause of all of her issues. So if you got to clean house, girl, literally go ahead, clean house, all right? And Haley is also, before that, she tried to hire your boy Diamond back because she realized she needs security because she, thought it was an easy job, but he was like, "I'm good. He probably traumatized with this whole Mississippi situation. So I get it." And Mary Mercedes also mentioned that she's been having nightmares about Montavious telling her, like, "Hey, I done let her kid come in my house and she done walked out on me." So it's a lot, y'all. It is really a lot going on, okay? And so now we see Keyshawn and Derek was like, "You know what, boo, I didn't get the job." And she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." But she already knew that because she was peeping his text messages. But I'm like, "Derek, I'm gonna need you to either find a job with loss prevention, the FBI, somewhere, because you and the attention to details, bro, like, yeah, you could be useful somewhere else." But she low key manipulates him to let her go on tour, okay? And yeah, we see Autumn at the Pynk, y'all. One of the last scenes, she over there, she been drinking. She been drinking, okay? So she over there in the lingerie. She goes into the pole, because now she, sleeping at the Pynk because she might as well. She done paid 250,000 for it. So she goes over there, look like she missing the pole. She's playing on the pole or what have you. Andre comes in. She's like, "How you get in here?" Big L ain't open the door. He didn't lock the door on the way out. So I'm like, he need to get fired or reprimanded or suspended. Something need to happen because no, that's liability. But Haley, I'm gonna need you to check the doors after you leave. Like, after anybody leaves or everybody leaves, you need to make sure that's like locked. You could have like low key died that night, okay? So they have this beautiful embracing moment, about, just, I don't know, like, the chemistry between them is is beyond words at this point. Him and his wife, they are great on paper, but you could just tell whatever him and Autumn share is something that's unexplainable. And if they do end up getting together, him and the wife definitely needs to get separated and divorced. But yeah, it's a lot of tension over there, okay? And so yeah, y'all, it's the crew, they going on tour. They going on tour. We see them leaving, and we end with a beautiful shot of your girl, Mississippi, just in the hearse. And I'm like, the look she gave the camera, like that beautiful shot, made it look like she done orchestrated her way out. And I am curious to see what is going on. I low key feel like she's gonna end up leaving Derek and the baby. She gonna give some child support. But I don't know. I kind of get that feeling, y'all. Tell me what you think. Drop down in the comments. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and yeah, have a blessed week. Toodles.